she clean?
Was that your stomach growling?
Probably. Oh. Probably. Hi. I'm Dave. And today's another collection room tour. And this will be the third one. And I'm going to show two of the Detolfs with some of my Terminator Terminator figures and some Hot Toys and some of the old Bowens and DC collectibles. So let's get right into it with the first shelf here. Oh, well, the first one starts...
First, a word from our sponsor. Hey, Urko. Okay.
First, we're going to start with the premium format Red Sonja, sculpted by the great Harbottle. And this is just tremendous. He just gets so much detail in there with like the little hip area where the little indentation. And he is absolutely one of my favorite sideshow sculptors and statue sculptors. I mean, this is just an epic piece. And this is the exclusive that comes with the axe hand. Granted, the magnets aren't the super strongest in the for the arms, but if you don't bump it, it will not fall off. It stays there, and she is painted amazingly, and it's the only Red Sonja that I really needed. I think I did get rid of my Red Sonja Victorious because I just wanted to keep this one. And I think it's an amazing piece, and that sits on top of one of the Detolfs. So I think she's probably one of the best ones that they've done for Red Sonja, and it's the old classic costume with her little loincloth and her little boobs hanging out underneath, and it's just tremendous. And then here, we go down into this collection.
What are we doing?
We're going down here into the Hot Toys. These are some of the Hot Toys ones that I have. These are older ones. I haven't bought any Hot Toys. No, that's not true. I did buy a lot of the Star Wars one. But no, I haven't really kept a lot of them out. This here is the Terminator. This one is the Terminator, what is this one? Judgment Day. The third one. Is that the third one or the second one? Second one.
Whatever that says.
Judgment Day. So this one is the Arnold Schwarzenegger that came with the shotgun and the roses and everything, but I switched it out for I bought the Gatling gun for the extra. Looking at it now, I mean, it's still a great Arnold likeness, but it's still, they keep updating it and changing it and making it look more realistic with each current release. But I just haven't kept up with trying to keep, buying the different Arnold Schwarzeneggers. And here we have the Christian Bale John Connor from Salvation, Terminator Salvation. A great figure. It looked amazing at the time. And, you look at it now, you still get Christian Bale, but I just love the piece. I love the jacket. And again, this room stays about 60 degrees down here, or 60, 62 degrees. So I don't have any flaking on my fake leather jacket. And I just love it. I think it's a great piece. And in front here we have, Sergeant Slaughter, G.I. Joe, Sergeant Slaughter. I always loved him as a wrestler. I thought he was really funny, and I just had to have that piece. I think it's a great piece. Not in scale, but I love it. I mix and match my scales. And in the back, we have, what's his name? Sam Worthington as Marcus Wright. And I ended up having to get an additional Hot Toys True Type body to build the second piece because they did give you all the clothing and everything to make the second piece, but they didn't give you the body parts. So I ended up having two figures from buying one by just getting an extra body, the True Type body. And that's the top shelf. I think most of them are the shelves have been cleaned recently, so if you see any dust, too bad.
Who's that guy in the back? Sam Worthington?
Yeah, Sam Worthington. At that point, when Hot Toys released it, they said he was the most delicate features that they've ever done. But, we know how that has changed with Kojin and all these different artists sculpting for Hot Toys and JPT and then Queen Studios. I think it's great. So on the second shelf below, we have the DC Bombshells, which I was obsessed with some of the figures when they came out. They were reinterpretations of some of the classic superheroes, but done in a 40s bombshell style. And we have in the back there, which I think was the last one. Second to last one I got was Death, which I think is just perfect. Her as a nurse. The Death coming in as Angel of Death coming in as a nurse is a fantastic reinterpretation. And I think the artwork done by Jose Garcia Lopez, I think that's his name. Then we have Supergirl in the back in a classic bombshell style outfit. She looks like she could be painted on the side of an airplane when the Air Force was going off to war. Love that. Then here we have one of my absolute favorites, Hawk Girl, with her jetpack. I just love that. And blowing a bubble gum. The face on her is just stunning and cute. Tremendous. And then this one I got kind of talked into. I was against it in the beginning, but a friend of mine said, no, you have to get her. And he sent me pictures because I always wanted a classic Barda from like the Kirby days drawn in the comic with her Mr. Miracle. I always loved that look. But he said, no, this is as close as we're going to get. And I got it, and I'm obsessed. I absolutely love her. Her as a roller derby badass with her bat. Just, it's amazing. And I thought, oh, she's going to topple over, but no, she's been pretty stable. And the colors are tremendous. Easily one of my favorites in the Bombshell line here. I know the lighting is not the best. And then we go down here to a mix of Bowen's 1/6 scale and Hot Toys and Iron Studios. I mix and match. So hey, we have Iron Man in the back there, which was probably one of my best statues from Bowen when he made this. This is Ultimate Captain America, and he is stacked. And it's from the Ultimate comic book where he was just completely vicious. And I think it's one of the best interpretations of the character and just in sculpt form. And here we have in the back also, we have Hawkeye from the very first Avengers. I can't get rid of that one. I absolutely love that character. Even though they put him in a different color suit, it's fine. I mean, he just completely kicks ass. There's just something about the bow and arrow that makes him just an amazing character. And in the back there, we have one of the original Iron Man. I can't remember what suit that is. Somebody in the comments can tell me, but I just always like that interpretation of it. I thought it was the closest to the comic book that we're going to get. And there goes the arrow.
There goes the arrow.
Okay.
We'll do that later.
Yeah. And then right here, we have my absolute favorite interpretation of Deathstroke. And I don't think we're going to get him in this configuration from any statue company. Iron Studio that did this in a 1/10 scale. And I absolutely love, that's my favorite combination. And even though it's only 1/10 scale, I still think it's a great size for this character and a great representation. Absolutely love it. And we have Hawkeye in front of Hawkeye, mini Hawkeye, 1/10 scale. And then we also have in the back there the Iron Studios Black Widow. And next to her, we have the Gentle Giant Black Widow, which is in 1/7 scale, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So it's kind of tiny, but it's not exactly 1/6, but it's a good representation of a statue that they did in quarter scale, which I did not get. On the bottom shelf, we have some of the Tweeterhead black and white versions of the Munsters, which I love, 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 love. So we have Lily, Herman, and Marilyn. Is that her name?
Yeah.
Was it Marilyn?
And yeah. Pinhead.
And Pinhead. Pinhead done by, I think it's Funko. NECA. NECA did these, Mezco, sorry. Mezco did these, like, distorted figures of a lot of horror characters. And I just kind of threw them in there because I had the space. So the Tweeterhead Munsters are probably some of the best ones they've ever done. And Herman and Lily look at Fred Gwynn and what's her goddamn name? I can't even remember her name. Lily.
She was in the Ten Commandments.
Yeah, she was in the Ten Commandments, but I can't even remember her damn name. But these sculpts are ridiculously amazing and lifelike, and I'm so happy to have these in my collection because the Munsters were some of my favorites.
And then we'll start at the bottom of the other.
And then we'll start at the bottom of the other cabinet.
You put the arrow away.
Yeah. And continuing the Tweeterhead Munsters, we have Grandpa and Eddie. And Eddie comes with watching the television, a little cat on the top here. He's movable. And I forget the name of the television show that Eddie's watching at this moment because, I'm old. And so, yeah, but these are, Grandpa is probably one of the most perfect sculpts that they've ever done. It looks exactly like Grandpa. I love it. Even Eddie. And I don't think we're going to get anything else that comes even close to this representation in statue form again. And I know they had a colored version of them, but I really like the black and white since I grew up with the black and white version.
And Eddie was in the Sid and Morty Craft Lidsville show.
Oh, I did
For
not
those
know.
who didn't know.
No.
Butch, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. And then on this shelf, it's all Electric Tiki, all Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which this is kind of the line that brought Electric Tiki into my consciousness in a collecting world because of all the stuff that the first one I got was this Buffy right here. This is the second version of her with the axe. I never got the first one. And I've always tried, but it's always been too expensive on the aftermarket, so I just did not. But then we have Dark Willow, we have regular Willow, and then we have Spike, Faith, and probably one of the best looking ones here, Glory, who we met at the convention, and she was so sweet and darling that we sat there and just chatted with her for a long time, and she just had a great conversation with us.
And she was also in Bring It On.
She was in Bring It On. Yes, she was. But
She was the sassy cheerleader.
These tuned-up versions are second to none. I think that what Electric Tiki does when they do their animated style, nobody can really touch them. I just think they're absolutely phenomenal at what they do in reinterpreting the character in a tuned style version. They're sexy, but they're not overly done, and they look like they could be characters that are actually in a cartoon show that you're watching. And Buffy looks great. I hear they're doing a reboot, so will be nice to see who comes back for that. Well, we know one that won't come back for that because she unfortunately just passed away. So, and here we have another set of like the cover girls mixed with some of the bombshells and the reinterpretations. These are all like, this is Supergirl, which I'm not familiar with that costume, but I absolutely love her. And in the back we have the Adam Hughes, which I think is probably the best Power Girl, what do you call it? The cover girls that they've done. There is Power Girl, Starfire, Wonder Woman in her golden armor. Then we have Supergirl, and this Catwoman.
You are
is
going
just
so fast.
I know. I'm listing them, in you know.
There we go.
Before I forget, and then Catwoman. She does the stop it, purr.
Oh, no, that's not child. That's not kid friendly.
None of my videos are. So this Catwoman, I just think it's a perfect representation of her. Just the pose and everything, like, oh, are you talking to me? Like lifting the glasses up, like, no, you can't be talking to me. But yes, these are some of my favorites in here. The Power Girl is the pop of red on from the cape just makes her really stand out. And the fact that they did it in like a nice sculpted harder plastic just makes it even more beautiful rather than choosing to go fabric route. And you very rarely will get Power Girl with her second power, which is her two chesticles. They don't do that anymore. All of that stuff gets shrunken down when you see the modern version. Wonder Woman in her golden armor, which is another interpretation of her. Absolutely love this Supergirl. I'm surprised at how much I love her. It's a reinterpretation of the costume, and I forget what it was. Oh, it was they were doing like the street gang version of like certain characters, like Catwoman with her tattoos and everything. I think it's just you see it as Supergirl, but it's not Supergirl. She just looks more badass, but still friendly and approachable. If that makes any sense. And then we come up to the top shelf with some of my absolute favorites, some of the ones that really got me into it. With the back, starting in the back, there's Poison Ivy, which I think is just probably the best interpretation of the costume from the comics. I mean, that's as close as you're going to get, and one of my favorites, and the one that I always go back to. And then in the middle, we have the one that started it, which was Wonder Woman. I think that was the very first CoverGirl that they did. CoverGirl statue.
I'm petting her bangs.
Pet her bangs. She loves it.
Ah, that light's hot.
That light gets very hot. I can turn it off.
It's okay.
And then next to it is Harley Quinn in her classic costume, which, again, I go back to the classics because that's what I grew up with, and I just absolutely love it. The colors are just everything, and I think it's the smile on her face and just the mallet that she has, even with the little splatters of blood on it. I think it's just a perfect interpretation of her in statue form. These are 1/6. And then, of course, we have Zatanna, which I'm actually surprised that they didn't put her in fishnets because I think it was drawn with fishnets. But that is Adam Hughes
Are these 1/6? I think they're 1/10.
No, these are 1/6. 1/6 scale. They're supposed to be 1/6 scale.
Okay.
Yes. And this is a costume that the one that I grew up with, where she had a little, bikini thing on the bottom, and the bustier, the corset, and then that black tails and the hat. I think it's just tremendous. Those legs go on for days, and I think they did a great job of interpreting how they look.
Interpreting.
That's a new word, folks. Interpreting.
Interpreting.
And this Black Canary, even though it's a mix of something old and something new, the boots are not from her classic look, but I think it actually works. And they did put fishnets on this one. Of course, the back part looks a little bit messier than they had hoped, but it's a great interpretation of her from the front. You see her, and she looks badass with her cracking her knuckles, getting ready to throw down, and just the look on her face, okay, give me a minute, I'll be ready for you in just a minute. And then probably one of the best ones that they've done. I know some parts are not comic accurate. I think the white ears are supposed to be yellow, but I can't remember offhand. But this Hawk Girl is amazing, and I think this is one of the first times that they did wings on one of their characters, and they did a great job of not making it too large or just too small that it wouldn't be reflective of somebody being able to fly with them. But her mace right here that she has, she is ready for business, and that face is beautiful. Probably one of the prettiest faces that they have on these statues. Stunning. Love her.
She's sexy and she knows it.
She's sexy and she knows it.
Sexy.
She won't stick around. She'll fly the coop. Treat her right. And then last but not least, on the top is one of my Star Wars premium formats. This is Jyn Erso. Rogue One is probably my favorite Star Wars movie outside of the trilogies. I think what they did with this was just amazing, and it just reminds me of of everything that Star Wars should be. It's just gritty, and these people knew what they were getting into. It was a rebellion, and they knew that they made a comeback, and she is probably one of my favorite characters out of the whole bunch, and I just love how they did it. Of course, premium format. It's clothing. The border here is wired, so you can get a lot of movability from it. And I think I went with the exclusive head on this one, but
Mobility or movability?
Movability.
Playability.
Playability, mobility, movability. She moves.
So
So if there's a wind blowing, you can imitate that look. You can mimicate, so you can just play with it. But I think the costume is just very earthy, and I always like that sort of realism from these outer space characters, where the clothing looks like it's part of our world but still in their universe. And I think they did a great interpretation.
Easter egg.
I don't know.
It's an Asajj head.
Asajj. But yeah, so those are the two shelves, the two little the Detolf cabinets that we have. And this is part 3 of the collection room tour. I never like to go on too long, so I will end it at this. And we will continue this another time. And again, thank you for joining. If you like to see any more of this, hit that like button, thumbs up, and subscribe. And we will see where this goes. So thank you again for looking, and bye. Have a good day. Happy Star Wars!